My name is Justin Loizos. I'm 30 years old, and just over a couple years ago, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I had multiple sclerosis for many years previous, but I was undiagnosed. During that time, I had actually begun to self-medicate quite a bit and increased my marijuana usage a lot, from maybe once a day in the evening times to reflect usually, and to about 3 grams a day, and and without knowing why. And that went on for about a year and a bit of a confusing time, and I finally got diagnosed. When I did get diagnosed in 2012, it was March 1st when I got my official diagnosis, but it was actually a week previous when I was first admitted to the hospital. I went into emergency, and it wasn't within hours. I think the first, it wasn't even 24 hours, and I was told I had MS. Usually, it's a very hard disease to diagnose because of its manifestations. It can be interpreted in many different ways. And maybe I was just a little late to the punch, and I also have an extremely aggressive version of it, so it did take quite a fast jump on me. And yeah, so I was told by the doctor in the first night that I had multiple sclerosis, and it was interesting. I got a whole bunch of blood tests done and this and that and everything, and he came back and he said, "I have news for you." And I said, "Okay." I asked to be alone with the doctor, and my family was with me, and he said, "You have multiple sclerosis." And I was like, "Okay, does that mean I qualify for medical marijuana?" And he laughed, like chuckled, and he says, "At least you have a good spirit," something to that account, right? And it was interesting. At that point, I had no clue. I just heard it, that was an association in my mind, right? That you would qualify for a medical marijuana program if you had a disease. And that was a program that I actually thought was a bit of a joke. I thought people used it as an excuse to get high, and and I thought, and I didn't know much more about it than that. I didn't understand marijuana's full potential as medicine, but I remember it was about the third day in the hospital, and I had someone bring me some medicine, some cannabis, and I was relieved. It was night and day, and I was able to get through the hospital, and it was nice. So that's cannabis. It's done that for me, like for a couple of years now and previous, and yeah, it's powerful stuff. And I don't know, it's emotional when I think about it. Towards the end of my stay there, after about a week, I got officially diagnosed with relapsing remitting form of the disease. And it's been interesting because of the nature of my multiple sclerosis, which is now just called aggressive, significant, and is that it's gone. They gave me many different diagnoses and different MRIs to test. So that's what they've settled with. But they technically call it relapsing remitting so that I can stay on for different drug therapies. So that's kind of it. One of the drug therapies that I was actually looking at was chemotherapy, and that's what actually got me into taking mega dosing cannabis, because I had used cannabis for about a year after my diagnosis, like through the MMAR program, using marijuana as medicine and learning about it and understanding it. But I hadn't started mega dosing until I was met with a decision to make. Right, it was a tough one, and even beforehand, I had talked to my doctor previously and telling him that I thought marijuana was a neuroprotectant, and he laughed at me. So that was sort of what the catalyst to me to begin to really study marijuana, but never to really begin to use it as I use it now. It was more in theory, but I understood its possibilities. So when I was given I was forced with the threat of chemotherapy to stop my disease. That was actually phase one, because chemotherapy for MS has very poor success rates, and most hospitals have stopped using it. But there's a new procedure that's very rare, and it's available for the very few, like the 5% of the people who suffer from like just very rare disease, the aggressive version of MS, where it's a stem cell transplant, with a bone marrow transplant with stem cells, with a 5% mortality rate. And yeah, so I started using cannabis, and it was like I uh, I got a call about a week later from the hospital to go and start using chemotherapy, but my toe started to move, so I didn't go. And that was the beginning. And then I was out of the wheelchair that I was told I would never be out of, just from a magical plant. This plant here. Well, not this particularly, but yeah, it was big, and that's how I started megadosing cannabis. I was just forced. It was, what are you gonna do, right? You're never gonna walk again, and have to destroy my system to get better. Why? Because the experts tell me that's what I have to do. At serious threats, and I'd not used any pharmaceuticals to that point, only steroids, which I was so afraid of, right? And I hate their harmful side effects. And it was interesting, like my doctor, when I was there, I went and I told him and I showed him everything, and I went and I walked into his office, and we were almost high-fiving by the end of this is the doctor who wouldn't sign my MRIs, or pardon me, he wouldn't take my MRIs, he wouldn't send my MMR forms. And then he was able to, he said, I'll sign any amount you say, whatever you need. At the end of that conversation, I gave him some double-blind studies that have thankfully been done for MS, that are done in other countries, but he was able to look at them. I showed him a whole bunch of peer-reviewed articles. I explained to him how it interacts with the cytokine cascade through immune modulation of the endogenous cannabinoid system, how it's a neuroprotectant that he once laughed at me for. And we had this great conversation, and it was incredible. He was on my side. And then I tried to explain to him that my garden was going to leave, and he said, I can't help you there, right? Well, you know what the interesting part was? My doctor thing he signed up for was the fact that I don't really ingest it, and I balance and pay so much attention to my dosing and what I'm doing, and I make it into a tea, into an oil, if you will, this like a cannabis tea, and this is illegal. The medicine, it's crazy, and that's what the doctors respect. He's like, oh well, we can get the dosage and everything down. So, I mean, yeah, it's, pardon me. And that's the true medicine, you know. And I keep my immune system regulated through a constant dosage, what some would consider, once I thought was ludicrous, 20 grams a day. Ideally, I don't even get that, because especially now, because of current complications with our medical marijuana program, doesn't help. Like where I was getting assistance, where I'm no longer getting it to a certain degree. So, but it's okay. It's working out, and we're hopefully gonna get through this. But I was able to have my doctor on my side, and he said, "Oh, I'll do whatever I can to help you with this." And we have two doctors now. My third original neurologist, who was on side from the beginning, and two other doctors who will see me once every 6 months, each doctor, and they're are starting to use or to monitor marijuana as medicine, and they're going to be taking MRIs and yeah, but. That's a huge step, and it's sad, because my doctor had no clue and nothing he could do or say, and he was sympathetic to the fact I was going to lose my garden. Like that was the time we were I was leading up before the injunction, anything, you know. And he said he was open to possibilities, but it was such a threat. I had no clue what I was going to do. One of the most stressful times. I was also going through a lot psychologically because of that, and through other things. Like I was really having a tough time, but it seems that that one major stressor, pardon me, relieving that threat of losing my garden by the government, even having the threat of armed guards coming into my home to make sure that it's shut down, really hurt me, and hindered my healing. You know, is tough for a while. So, but I think now it's been good. I've been able to keep my garden, which is so important to me. Like I'm able to come up with these different genetics. Like this is a plant that not many. It's just so special to me. It's a half CBD. It's what I'm drinking in this tea actually, and that plant there is made into this oil, and some of those buds over there. And they're all different for me, and I'm always kind of searching for better strains and tweaking them and finding the best possibilities for them. So yeah, it's an amazing opportunity I've had granted to me. It's interesting. Another great thing like was I wasn't able to have my initial dosage. Like I decided to infuse my after just everyone. There's no, I don't think, a really wrong way to have a cannabis therapy. In my research, and everyone's gotten great results from different ways of doing it, and some healthier than others. And for different diseases, you might be more concerned for different reasons. Like for me, I have to take cannabis at high doses for probably the rest of my life. This is it. This is my road. This is my life. This is it. So I want to know that you know what else I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna eat coconut oil for the rest of my life, and that's good. And they work real well together, so that's nice. It works for me, right? Maybe if I had a cancer, I don't know what I would do. So yeah, it's medical marijuana. It saved me, and it's so incredible. And I want everyone to know about it. Like, if you have MS, then you need to be using it. Like I said, when I was in the hospital, there it was like a relief. I was entered a different world, a new world. Like, and it was different. I guess I'd already experienced, but I had that official diagnosis and that connection that it worked. Like, yes, that's something that's I didn't even know it. Like I was unnecessarily feeling like shit in the hospital for like 3 days. And all I needed to do was puff. Yeah. So it's interesting. Like that should be in the hospital, in every hospital. Like, here's your bud and your cart and your vape. And yeah, that'd be nice, right? That would have helped me a bit. But it was great. I didn't have any problems in the hospital there. And jumping a little bit, pretty emotional. This is very true to me. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. So I'm actually really lucky in a lot of ways, and I cherish this beautiful plant that I have, and I'm able to cultivate and make to my own medicine in different forms and various ways, and also learn that this is something that is designed to work almost perfectly with our bodies in really medical ways. I don't want to say magical because it kind of, but it's incredible. It really is, and it's incredible. And the more you learn about it, like myself, I went from thinking that medical marijuana was a joke to now thinking that, it's going to be one of the key elements. It is one of the key, but I'm looking bigger picture. I want to reprogram my mitochondria. I want to basically eliminate MS from my body. So it's only through cannabis that I will get there, but it's not going to be what takes me over. It's a few holistic. It's a holistic approach, and that's through proper eating, diet, living well, meditation, and not being stressed by the government, and fearing taking my garden away. That would really help allow me to heal. But that's it. I will get there. And it's such a long road, and it's a hard road. And I warn anybody that takes the road, it's not an easy road. It's not like you don't get rid of everything. You got to deal with some pain. You gotta give a little with medical marijuana. It's not a cure-all, what anyone says, you know, maybe for some cancers, and that's really, like, it does destroy and combats cancers, no doubt. But I mean, for even if you're a chronic pain sufferer, you're gonna have to learn to deal with chronic pain psychologically as well, like on a holistic level, and appreciate that, you know, it's not gonna knock the pain out of the park every single time. But if you're lucky enough to be able to farm your own genetics and search, maybe you'll find that one that just gets you perfect, right? Or real close, right? And then you can cross it with the other one that gets you the other way that you need to be, maybe psychologically, and find something that gets you perfect in between. And that's kind of the next generation for me, the evolution of my garden, right? And finding the perfect medicine, because it's such a complex plant. And there's no experts that are certified special and really know everything, because it's been, you know, prohibited for so long. And it's this and it's a complex thing. I mean, the science, the chemistry, the just our gardening aspects of it too. There's so much to it, and of course the culture, right, which confuses people, the propaganda, everything. It's interesting, since I've actually reached out a little bit and started talking to people. I've had more than a few people get in touch with me and ask about educating their parents on how to use marijuana as medicine, right? Because myself, I use, I suffer from multiple sclerosis. So what I found through some studies that were thankfully done, that allowed me to realize that even ratios of THC and CBD would be best for multiple sclerosis for a few different reasons, but mostly spasticity, and it seems to work incredibly well for my bladder as well. And these are things that are they're difficult things to deal with on a daily basis. And I find that drinking this cannabis tea and smoking CBD seems to work really well for me, but would never be enough for just. I need, like, if you look, this here is about my favorite plant, because it's the great white shark shock, and it's a balanced sort of hybrid that leans maybe towards a sativa, I guess you would say, a little more less narcotic in its effect, and I find it really good, because again, I smoke a lot, I use oils, I'm basically always keeping my body filled with cannabinoids. I need to keep them running and modulating my immune system, otherwise I'm compromised. And that's it. Well, my immune system is compromised, but it'll take over, right? And I've had it happen. I was under threat when my garden was under threat of taken away. It just happened not that long ago. I was put back in the hospital again, because I had to stop. My dosage has gone down. Even now, I'm treading low. I'm treading low on my medicine, and it sucks. And I can even see my stash is going down, and I haven't even put my plants in the harvest. It's tough, right? And I didn't have the support like I had during the MMAR, because this injunction has put a lot of things in disarray for a lot of people. So I'm working on it, and it might be okay, and I'm a lot better off than a lot of people. But okay, it's difficult. It depends on the person, right? It totally depends on the person. If you're, like I said, the people who seem to be interested, because a lot of my regime focuses on not that much of a psychoactive effect. The truth is, though, it's just there's not much of anything that gives me personally a psychoactive effect. I ingest so much cannabis that I'm almost immune to it. It has to be like heavy amounts that would begin a psychoactive kind of. So it's I would say to risk and to reintroduce, because I find maybe that's who we want to talk to the most, would be people who have smoked cannabis in the past and have a weird association with it, whether it be just a party thing, or maybe they had a bad experience and it was a bad trip, as you would call it, anxiety, and it was created. something along those lines, or two stones, something. Anyways, so you have experiences, and myself personally, when I was about 20, and there's a mystery part of me. No one has really been able to solve it, but it happens quite frequently, and it's when the developing brain, when it begins to take a shift in the early 20s there, and some people just stop smoking cannabis if they're teenage users, right? And you start when you're a teenager and you're smoking, you turn 20, 21, 22, and you smoke, stop. So if you're one of those people and you think that you'll become paranoid or whatever, like I couldn't smoke. You'd have to leave the room. It was the worst experiences ever. Yeah, try and maybe reintroduce yourself, and don't be scared. But if you are, then maybe try and find a strain that has a little bit of CBD, because I think it's anything past maybe 4%, something like that, is going to begin to down-regulate most strains of THC, and you'll kind of chill out and really get rid of any anxiety, and it'll kind of make it a smooth high for you, right? And good medication. But it might not necessarily be the medication for you overall, right? So that maybe just be an entryway for you. So explore and be open. Also, edibles are great, but educate yourself. Educate yourself. Really take it easy. I had a just don't jump in, and you could have a definite bad experience with edibles. So be careful and be slow, and take it seriously. Very slow. Yeah, that's it. Just educate yourself. Take it slow, and start sooner rather than later, and begin healing yourself. I will say this though, the most important thing for me in cannabinoid therapy is supporting my endogenous cannabinoid system. It's number one. I think anybody, if you want to start cannabis therapy, start eating healthy, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to start supporting this, and you're going to start flowing inside of you. Your body will begin helping itself, right? And that's basically all it is. You're using these phytocannabinoids to come in and kind of give them a boost, right? And why not do that by making your receptors as healthy as they can? There's doctors that say a dull receptor is a dead receptor, and right, this is your CB1 and CB2 receptors inside of your body. And so it's important. Support your endogenous cannabinoid system, and start slow.